There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people to see if they could become something more, to see if they could work together when we needed them to fight the battles that we never could. Those were the words from Marvel's The Avengers, or should I say the quote from Nick Fury of Marvel's The Avengers that came out in the summer of 2012, back in May. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I'm your host, the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Codo, aka Codo Man. So, you're probably wondering, yes, you heard that quote right. That quote was from the 2012 Avengers film titled Marvel's The Avengers. And this was from Nick Fury. The quote was from Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, during the scene in the aftermath of the helicarrier fight, where Loki escaped after the whole fight and the argument between some of the members of the Avengers. So yeah. So anyway, this is a little late in the game because I had a couple of films that came up in my mind. Anyway, I realized that the first week of May was when the first Avengers film came out, and it was May 4th. May 4th was when the first Avengers film came out, but I was working on another podcast episode, which was my 100th episode, which is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. So, yeah, I had that going on. But for this episode, I am going to talk about Marvel's The Avengers in honor of its 10-year anniversary. Now, I'm not going to break down the film, although I'm probably just talk about the plot of the film while simply reflecting on from what I remember seeing this film. So, Marvel's The Avengers, or simply known as The Avengers, is a 2012 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero team of the same name that was being produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures in association with Paramount Pictures. So the film was written and directed by Joss Whedon, and it features an ensemble cast including Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, and Jeremy Renner as the Avengers, alongside Tom Hiddleston, Clark Gregg, Kobe Smulders, Stellan Skarsgård, and Samuel L. Jackson. In the film, Nick Fury and the spy agency S.H.I.E.L.D. recruit the Avengers, which includes Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, Bruce Banner, Thor, Natasha Romanoff, and Clint Barton to form a team capable of stopping Thor's brother Loki from taking over Earth. So that's basically the plot of the film. They're trying to stop Loki from taking over Earth and quite possibly the world with an army known as the Chitauri. Now, looking into this film, going back to 2012, I went to see this film the day after it opened. So that would be May 5th. I went to see it on May 5th, the day after it opened. I was 13 years old at the time. And I went to see it with my entire family, which included my mom, my dad, and my 3 brothers, including my grandpa. We all went to see this film because Marvel's The Avengers was obviously one of the biggest films to come out, and not only for Marvel, but for Hollywood and cinema. That is just crazy. I mean, and come to think of it, it has already been 10 years since Marvel's The Avengers came out. And right before The Avengers, I remember seeing all Phase 1. I saw all the Phase 1 Marvel films, which includes the first 2 Iron Man films, The Incredible Hulk, Thor, and Captain America. Those were the first few Marvel films in Phase 1 that came out. And let's be honest. I mean, it was really a change in direction, particularly for the superhero genre, because without those films, we wouldn't have gotten what is quite honestly one of the greatest movie team-ups I have ever seen. And my 13-year-old mind couldn't stop talking about it, because I remember seeing this when I was 13 years old, and I had a fun time with Marvel's The Avengers. I mean, believe me, even audiences and film critics loved it. I mean, the film received a lot of praise for the direction it went, including the screenplay, visual effects, action sequences, including the acting and musical score. And it earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Visual Effects. So that was something. Oh, and it grossed over $1.5 billion worldwide, setting numerous box office records and becoming the third highest grossing film of all time. Well, at the time of the release, and the highest grossing film of 2012. So that has got to be something, am I right? It really is. I mean, it's a literal fun film. I mean, the opening of the film really sets the tone of what the plot's going to be about. Like, they know, like, one of the Chitauri leaders named The Other. No, really, that's the name. The Other. Who is one of the Chitauri leaders gives Loki the scepter or the staff that actually has the Mind Stone in it. Yeah, it really dropped a Infinity Stone reference in that film. Actually, 2 Infinity Stones, because the Tesseract is also an Infinity Stone as well. I mean, it's like you're watching the film for the first time, and you're all hyped and excited to see a superhero team up from Marvel. I mean, trust me. I mean, Marvel has done other team ups before in their other past films, and sure, yes, Disney and Pixar's The Incredibles also did that as well. But for me, like, when I first saw it, it was something else. It became a different experience. Now, going into the film, I really liked all the characters. I mean, obviously enough, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. I mean, I remember seeing those two in Iron Man 2. I mean, those two are amazing. Plus, seeing Thor and Captain America return, Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans as Thor and Captain America. Love seeing those two on screen. Plus, seeing Clint Barton as Hawkeye for the first time, it did drew me some questions, because I never heard of Hawkeye, but later down the line, I really enjoyed Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. So that's something good, am I right? But also one of the biggest changes in the Avengers films is the Incredible Hulk, and that's because of the different actors. They had to switch out the actors, and it turns out Mark Ruffalo played Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, because in the Incredible Hulk film that came out in 2008, Edward Norton was Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, but somehow Edward Norton had trouble behind the scenes on the Incredible Hulk film, which probably was one of the reasons why Marvel decided to recast and use Mark Ruffalo to play the Hulk. That's probably one of the reasons why they had to switch out the actors. Well, more like trouble on set and like difficult, like an actor difficult to work with. That's probably one of the reasons why. And of course, creative decisions. So there were definitely a lot of cooks in the kitchen for the Incredible Hulk film. But I will say this. In my opinion, I thought in the first Avengers film, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk was pretty good. Now, Now, obviously enough, we also got Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, so I still love Nick Fury in that film as well. But yeah, I feel like in my opinion, for the first Avengers film, looking back at it, it still holds up as probably one of the greatest superhero team-ups of all time. I mean, I know there has been a few other team-ups before in the past, but quite honestly, for Marvel, this is probably one of my favorite team-ups. And for the first Avengers film, it's a classic. It's a literal classic for Phase 1. And in my opinion, I consider Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a classic on its own. I mean, it really is. I mean, I also reviewed Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe already, so if you want to check out my Phase 1 review of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it is Episode 87, Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1. So after this episode, you can definitely go check out Episode 87 of Codo Cinema of the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1 on the WEIU website, under radio, and through other WEIU podcasts, because me, Christian Taylor, Marshall Mathers, Rashad Oliver, Lex Pope, and Zach Wagner did it. We all did an episode that really focused on the Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So after this episode, please feel free to check out Episode 87 on the WEIU website of Codo Cinema. So, looking back on this film, I mean, it's a very good film. It's a really good film, and it still holds up to this day. But it really set the boundary for future films because if you think about it, there were definitely moments where it really set up the future, particularly with the end credits, because at the end of the first Avengers film, we get to see one of the end credits, or a mid-credit scene, where the other is talking to a certain stranger sitting on a throne in space. Now, at one point, I didn't know who it was, because I just didn't know who it was. Because here's the thing, I never read any of the Marvel comics, just to keep in mind. I never read any of the comic book storylines or anything, so it's really something. So please forgive me for not reading any comic books. I mean, hey, I didn't grow up reading any comic books, so I'm just gonna have to keep that in mind. But this stranger that we see at the end, who smiled, it was something that I've never. It was a person or someone that I've never seen. And that really set the tone for the future, and quite possibly a sequel to the Avengers, which the Avengers sequels was titled, the second Avengers film was titled Age of Ultron. Now, at one point, I thought in the mid-credit scene from the first Avengers film was Ultron, but that was not true. That was not true at all, because Ultron turned out to be a robot, similar to Iron Man a little bit. But actually, in the mid-credit scene, that person that was sitting on the throne was Thanos. And that blew my mind, because, as I mentioned, I never read any of the comics, but I'm pretty sure die-hard fans who knows who Thanos is recognize the person sitting on the throne at the end of the mid-credit scene for the first Avengers film. So it really set the bar for future Marvel films to come out. And we even got more Marvel films. I mean, honestly enough, we got a third Iron Man film. We even get more Captain America sequels, including Thor, as well as more team-ups like Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, that's really something, and that led to quite honestly, another Avengers film and another Avengers film after that. So if you kind of think about it, the first Avengers film really set the bar for future Marvel films, and that was really something. Am I right? But also, it really did set up a civil war between Tony Stark and Iron Man. No, not Tony Stark. Well, obviously, yeah, Tony Stark, Iron Man, but Tony Stark and Captain America, because in one of the scenes, Tony and Iron Man were, Tony and Steve Rogers were arguing about their different views, particularly, Captain America was arguing about Tony Stark about being a big man in a suit of armor. Take that off. What are you? And then Tony Stark is basically genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. Yeah, basically that. So basically, Tony and Steve had different point of views. So that really was a little bit of an Easter egg for a possible civil war between those two. And some of the die-hard Marvel fans may recognize that. Plus, I mean, looking ahead into Marvel, we even get to see a Loki TV series, but not until Phase 4. Plus, seeing Loki in the second Thor film, I mean, that was really something. Now, at one point when I saw the Avengers, I thought this was going to be it, but no, I was completely wrong, because looking in within that 10-year range, I see more Marvel films coming out, basically from Phase 2, Phase 3. To be fair, I feel like Phase 3 was a lot better than Phase 2, but I still consider Phase 1 a classic. A literal classic. I mean, literally. But up until Phase 4, it's still going. Like after the first Avengers films, it set the bar for everything, and that's really something surprising. I remember like many of the moments from the first Avengers films that got me huge laughs and surprises. I mean, here's the thing. Tom Hiddleston as the main villain, Loki, was obviously one of the best casting choices I have ever seen put to screen, and Loki still holds up as one of the greatest Marvel villains of all time. Seeing Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, still good. Chris Evans as Captain America is still good. Chris Hemsworth as Thor, good. Jeremy Renner and Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow and Hawkeye, still good. And of course, seeing Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, I mean, good. I mean, that's pretty good. But also, with everything that I saw in the first film, it's really good. I mean, the action sequences are great too, particularly the final battle in New York where they go up against the Chitauri army. I mean, that's something. That was really something. That's probably a battle that I've been waiting to see since the film came out. I got hyped up for that film, for that moment. I mean, the battle was awesome. I mean, here's the thing. The final battle in New York City, it looks pretty real, but they had to actually use computer-generated imagery to get the Battle of New York City, and they really pulled it off pretty good, because the CGI in that entire battle sequence still holds up to this day, because there were many different visual effects companies that had to put the battle together, which definitely includes Weta and Industrial Light and Magic. And that really is something. And also, I really like the music from Alan Silvestri, because he did the first Captain America film and the first Avengers film, so that was still pretty good. Plus, I really liked how at the end of Thor and Captain America, it really set up the first Avengers film, but it was really the first Iron Man film that literally got the idea started, because Nick Fury came in during a post-credit scene in the first Iron Man film, telling Iron Man, or should I say Tony Stark, I need to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. So that was right there. It was really something that really started the idea for a superhero team up, and we all got hyped for it, and we got that in the first Avengers film. I mean, 10 years ago, I remember watching this film when I was 13 years old. Now I still watch the first Avengers film to this day. I mean, it still holds up. and it became one of those films that literally changed cinema for a lifetime. Literally, and it really does. So basically that's my take on how I reflected on the first Avengers film. 10 years, and 10 years later it still holds up. I mean, here's to another 10 years. Here's to another 10 years. So what about you? What about you all? What did you think of the first Avengers film that came out in 2012? I mean, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, I would love to hear your thoughts about it. But anyway, that's my take on the first Avengers film 10 years ago. But anyway, thank you all for tuning into Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codo Man. Remember to watch movies and stay positive.